If you're looking to not make the most common mistake in your FR paper, then do watch this video till the end. I'm Megha Bansali, ACCA and the Indian Chartered Accountant. So today in this video, we are going to be discussing a FR examination report. Now this examination report is issued by ACCA by the examining team, and it accumulates a lot of things. First of all, your time management, then how do you answer a particular question. Third, what is the expectation of the question and how are you supposed to interpret the question. And fourth, which is very important, is not to make the common mistakes made by student. So if you want to learn about all these things, then examiner's report is the go-to place for you. And today we are going to be deep diving into one of the examiner's report. The one that I am discussing is March and June 2024. So let's get started. So to begin with, we all know what is the paper pattern, that we get three different sections: section A, section B, section C. Now for your section A and for your section B, there is a generic comment. It's very difficult to give you specific comments because it's again very different for each question. But the most generic comment is, please read the question very well, because that's what students are not doing well. To give an example, in this examiner's report, they have given us one question from section A where they are asking us to calculate total lease liability. And here they have said that the most common mistake made by the students were they calculated the lease liability, however they considered payment in arrears instead of advance. So instead of taking that the lease liability is paid at the start of the year, they have taken at the end of the year. Now because of that, my interest is going to change and all my calculations will change. So please read the requirement really well, and that is the key for your section A question and as well as section B. Don't panic a lot. Slowly, calmly read the question, answer it. Now the key is also to practice as many OT questions as you can, because the more you practice, the better you're going to get. My suggestion is that you practice from ACCA Study Hub plus either Kaplan or BPP. So at least 2 study materials you should be doing all your OT based questions. OT questions is going to be perfect with practice. Please practice as much as you can. Then moving on to section C question. Guys, now in section C also we know that always there is an analysis and interpretation question, and there is always a single entity or consolidation question. So please focus on these really well, especially analysis and interpretation. I feel it's a key area to get good marks. For your analysis and interpretation question, if you require guidance on how to go about solving it, I have already uploaded a video explaining how you should solve your analysis and interpretation question. So you can go and watch it, and that will help you understand how to go about it. Now let's understand what mistakes not to be made. So if you look at any analysis and interpretation question, it will have ratio calculation plus it will have the explanation part of it. Now in this, how do you get your marks? So let's say if 5 ratios are asked for both current year and for last year, then you are going to get half a mark for each calculation. So half mark for current year, half mark for last year, and that's how you will get 5 marks for 5 ratios. So 5 marks has gone for ratios. Now what is left is 15 marks. For this 15 marks, you have to give 15 solid analysis or interpretation of these ratios, and you're going to get marks. So that's how you break down your marking scheme. Now also guys, it's important that you show working note, because sometimes let's say if it's a gross profit ratio is asked. Now instead of 100, let's say by mistake I put in 1000, and let's say this was divided by 2000. So my ratio is going to be incorrect. However, if I have put this over here, the examiner will know, okay, this is a typing mistake. So if you have done some typing mistake, the entire analysis and interpretation is going to go wrong. But however, if your way of explaining and everything is correct, the examiner will know, okay, because of this typing mistake all these errors have happened. So still some marks can be given for your analysis and interpretation. Definitely you won't get marks for this, but they will know that the problem is because of this small typo error. So always good to show your workings so that if there is anything wrong, you can still expect some step markings. Now it says analysis and interpretation of an individual company is an important area of syllabus and will continue to be examined. Candidates failed to score high marks on this question. The reason seemed to be for poor exam technique. So guys, please prepare well for this question. Now it says some of the candidates will highlight the importance of using the scenario when constructing, it says you will have to highlight the scenario to use your answer. Please don't give generic and vague answers. You are not going to get marks. Now in this, first they asked you to calculate EPS. So like in this case, what has happened is some candidates did not calculate the profit correctly or did not calculate the weighted average number of shares. So in that case, if one thing is wrong but otherwise this is correct, let's say the calculations for 1 mark, you will still get half a mark. So that's why guys, please show your workings because there are step markings. So this is with regard to your EPS. They said that in this case what has happened is shares were issued first and then bonus shares were issued. So it's a slightly tricky question because what you would have normally solved is bonus and then maybe normal share issue, or just bonus or normal share issue. So how do you deal with such scenarios? So in this case, you had to calculate the bonus fraction for both your issue, for weighted average plus for your bonus issue. So that was the key here, and that was the tricky part. Now if you're getting stuck in the examination in questions like these, then what do you do? My suggestion guys, leave it at the moment. Finish your rest of your paper, then come back to this. If you're confused, just solve what you know. So if I was there in the examination and this would have come, I would have probably done weighted average number of shares for right issue, but bonus fraction I would have not calculated and I would have added. Though it's wrong, but probably I would have got some marks to do the weighted average share calculation right for my additional issue. That's why do it stepwise and please include working notes so that at least some marks you're going to get and not lose all of it. Now the next question was on ratio calculation, which it said that it was really good. We are all very good at calculation questions. I think all the ACCA students are perfect at calculations. So calculations, everyone has got marks. Again it says, if the candidate shown the working, the marking team would be able to see that it was simple transposition error and full 1 mark would have been awarded. So see, they are still saying that if you have wrongly put in some figures, then you will still get some marks if working notes were there. To avoid marks being lost, the examining team encouraged the candidates to show all the workings. Okay. They have also given an example below on how you can show your workings. This is with regard to consolidation, but I just wanted to explain this. See, like here they have shown what two figures are they adding to get the final figure, or if they select this cell, that how this number has come, they can see these two figures have been key in. They have typed this figure. So please, for ratios also you can do that. So you can do 1000 divided by 200. And if they go to this cell, so they can see how this has come. Please show your working notes either specifically like this, or when they go to the cell, they should be able to see how this figure has been arrived at. Then they have said that some of the students have adjusted the profit and then they have done the analysis or the ratio calculation. So they are saying this was unwanted. This was not being asked for. So that's why guys, please read the question well. What is asked, only solve so much. Don't go over and above. You are going to lose marks. So this was one error that students have made. Then they say, this style of question features in every FR exam, and so it continues to be surprising that many candidates either do not provide any analysis or provide an analysis that is extremely brief. So be as specific as you can. Please read the scenario as much as possible and put those details. Now again, don't just copy paste the details. That's also not going to give you marks. You need to elaborate the details. To give you an example, here they have reduced their selling price. Now, if the selling price is reduced, definitely my margins are going to be reducing. Probably you could also see if I am doing that to fight a competition. So in that case, my market share is increasing. So though it is looking negative, but it is in turn going to increase my market share and increase my profitability in future. So all of those factors have to be put in. You can't just say that revenue has dipped by 10% because our selling price has reduced. Please do not write such a statement. You need to go a little more in depth. So read your scenarios, and the best way, guys, to understand these kind of questions is please pick up any listed organization, okay, whatever you're interested in. So if you're interested in automobiles, pick up some automobile industry balance sheet, P&L, calculate ratios and try and interpret it your way. So think, okay, from an investor point of view, if I have to put in my money, if I have to buy shares of this company, then what all would I see? I'll see, okay, profit margin has increased. Oh, looks good. But what is the reason behind the increase? Is this increase sustainable? Is it going to last for a very long time? Or is this increase going to dip in the future? So you can practice it practically. Sit and analyze some companies' balance sheet, P&L. So you will also, get the kick of it, and you will be able to understand how to solve these questions. That's one suggestion from me on how you could improve on this front. Then it says candidates must be able to differentiate between performance analysis and position analysis. Performance analysis is analysis based on my profit and loss, and position is analysis based on my balance sheet. So typically my gross profit margin, my operating margin, all this will go into performance analysis, and my inventory holding period, debtor holding period, working capital, current ratios, quick ratios, all this will go into my balance sheet analysis. Copying directly from the scenario will not be awarded marks and should be avoided. Then here they have given an example wherein they have said current ratio is 2:1, which is good. Current ratio is beyond 2:1, so company is doing well. So that's what they're saying. It's generic and vague, so you have to elaborate, like I gave you an example earlier. Candidates should be mindful to consider the underlying performance where some transactions were deemed to be one-off. So sometimes there could be transactions which are exceptional in nature. So you have to also consider the effect of these in your ratios and your analysis. Then it says there should be a final conclusion. So guys, remember to give a short recommendation or a conclusion. So again, think of this from a more practical point of view. So if I was on employment and my boss gave me a particular balance sheet and P&L and said analyze this, okay, probably I would have given him, let's say, a 20-pager report. Probably my boss does not have the time to read the 20-pager report. So I could have created a conclusion or a summary saying, whatever was the purpose, go ahead, invest in the company looks good, or whatever. So based on the purpose, you have to give a conclusion also. Very important, practically also, plus from examination point of view. So don't forget to give a conclusion. So you can say overall the position of the company looks good because of great profit during the year, or increase in revenue, reduce in my inventory holding period. So whatever are the positive factors, you could put all of those in that. Moving on to our last question, which normally could be single entity or consolidation. So what I have generally seen is students are comfortable with consolidation because there's standard workings and students are able to solve it. With single entity, they normally struggle to answer the question. Now the key to single entity question is, guys, please pass journal entries. Whatever is the transaction, hit the debit, hit the credit, and immediately go and adjust it. So that will also give you a clarity that yes, debit and credit has adjusted. So at least your balance sheet is going to tally. So that will give you some confidence in the exam. If your debit and credit is wrong, definitely the answer is wrong. But at least on the face of it, the fundamentals of accounting are not incorrect. Again, if you want to understand how to solve a single entity question, I have already uploaded in video where I have explained in detail how do you solve the question, how do you start from scratch, what are the journal entries, and how do you affect it. Single entity question, your accounting concepts have to be right. Otherwise, you're going to struggle, guys. Anyways, now coming to this question, which is on consolidation, wherein they have said that again, they have emphasized a lot on the working notes. Please put working notes so that you can get great marks in the exam. And here they have said that now here they have asked a consolidated statement of financial position, so your balance sheet had to be prepared. Now the major mistake made in this question by most of the candidates that they have explained is that they have done a time apportion for subsidiaries balances. Guys, remember, when I'm preparing my balance sheet, it is as on a particular date. So as on this date, it's my subsidiary, so I have control on these assets and liabilities, so include 100% of it, and I am anyways going to be showing the remaining 25%, 20% via NCI. So whenever there is subsidiary and balance sheet question, add 100% balance of subsidiary and your liabilities, and then show your NCI separately. Now if it is a profit and loss question, then you have to see how many months did I hold the subsidiary and add balance only for those months. So don't do time apportion for balance sheet question, and don't do percentage apportion also for balance sheet question. Percentage will not work in your profit figures also, because again in PL we show profit attributable to NCI. So separately we are showing how much goes to NCI. So 100% of revenue, cost of sales is going to be added. So please keep this in mind. That's what is also the comment of the examiner, that this is the major area of problem. Then it says intercompany transactions were accurately adjusted for. Most of the candidates were able to do it well. However, accounting for cash in transit or asset in transit is a weaker area. So now just remember, if there is a cash or asset in transit, then let's say I am the holding company, I have sent goods to my subsidiary company. So I have accounted for it, but subsidiary hasn't. Now to equate my books, account it in the subsidiary's books. So both are now going to be equal, and then go ahead. So keep this in mind to account for these kind of transactions. Then they have also said goodwill was calculated correctly by most candidates, because I think that's focused also so much time. Even in class when I teach, we focus so much on goodwill calculation. So that is a perfect area for students. Then they have said whenever there is a share exchange, so remember, if I am issuing shares of my company, then let's say if my market value is $5, go back and see what is my face value. If the face value is $1, $1 will go into my share capital and $4 into share premium. So this accounting also you need to keep in mind. Then the last question, it said that why do we eliminate our intercompany balances and our unrealized profit at the time of consolidation? So it says the examiner report says that many candidates did not attempt this part of the question, probably because of poor time management. Also they said some candidates did not think about the verb in the question, and they simply reproduced numbers that they have calculated in part A. Again emphasizing, candidates are encouraged to read the question well. Now how you should have answered this question is basically saying the money is not going to be paid or received by anyone when I look at the group as a whole. So therefore it is simply inflating my receivables and payable balance, and it has to be eliminated at the group level. So just one statement would give you 1 mark, because it's a 2-mark question and asking you for 2 points. So simple, straightforward one statement would have given you mark. So please read the question really well, guys. That's why you're even given those extra 15 minutes, so that you can focus and read your question. Now, how do you manage your time in the examination? So I have 2 ways for time management. Okay. Whatever suits you, whatever you think is appropriate, you could use that. First is you follow a rule of 1.5 minutes per mark. Okay, do not follow 1.8 minutes. The reason being, 30 minutes I'm keeping buffer for reading the question, for going back and visiting if you're getting stuck somewhere. So please leave those 30 minutes. Follow rule, 1.5 minutes, 1 mark. Or what you can do is your section A, you should be spending 45 minutes. So you know you're getting 15 minutes. So you have 3 minutes per question, which I think is pretty good enough. Even if you give the reading 2 times, 3 minutes is very good for one question. Section B, again 45 minutes for one question for the entire section. So basically 15 minutes for one case study, which is again very good enough. Then for your section C, you have 2 questions. So let's say question 3 and 4, both of which you should be spending 45 minutes, 45 minutes. So this is something you will have to practice so that you can finish it in 45 minutes. I think again analysis interpretation is something you can manage in 45 minutes, because typically some 5-6 ratio calculation would have been asked, which will take you 5 minutes. And then you have 40 minutes to write about 15 to 16 points, which is good enough time. However, now what you have to focus on your single entity and consolidation, that you should be able to solve this in 45 minutes. So if you can follow this kind of structure, you will be able to complete your paper within time. So this is with the examiner report of financial reporting. I hope you've got a great understanding of what to do, how to go about solving your question. However, if you require any kind of assistance, you can reach out to me. I'll be very happy to help you. And guys, before going, please do not forget to subscribe to my channel, like the video, share it with more of your FR friends, and do drop in a comment below if you require assistance with your FR examination. I'll be back with more such content. Till then, take care and all the very best for your examination.